they're going to take the point first, and Nero's already trying to find that fight and bring it over to Yaki.
Yep, not bad at all. Slime's going to have to maybe go for a risky res, but highly unlikely at this point as Nero is harassing the back line. Striker finds yet another kill onto OG. Good start for the shot because they do end up capping. And with Violet holding up on the high ground with Striker, this window is going to be online very soon. Even if tag people down and make sure Yaki and OG have a bit of an easier time of following people up.
Striker tried to get away in time, but BQB actually finding that head does have that post bomb at the ready is Yaki, and he's bringing that battle over to Nero. He finds the pick off, getting some of that assistance from BQB, but now it's just a matter of cleaning things up. He's following up so well off of BQB, and he does manage to land that pulse bomb, but San Francisco Shock, they still have control over this point first. He does manage to demeg. Yeah, Bob on, but we have the Western standoff going in, and it's Bob who's holding on to this point first here, Jaws.
Oh, there you go. Striker yet again. This guy is actually immortal at this point. Like getting the damage boost from FD God. He just sits there clicking heads.
To tack on some of that pressure on the backlines with that pulse bomb, and now with overtime on board, currently have the San Francisco Shock pressuring the Florida Mayhem to stick, but the big pulse bomb stick on top BQB. That's 2 members down from Mayhem, and unfortunately, again, utilizing that Transcendence, they do manage to get BQB in the fight, but with Yaki down, they're at a number disadvantage at the least. Yaki has to make his way back over, and the overtime is still taking in front of Florida Mayhem. They're trading, though, for OG and BQB finding FD COD. They are trying to find their way back onto this point, but those minefields, just unfortunately, they completely interrupted the rotation onto Striker. Discord onto Super, doesn't find himself getting too much, getting a lot of damage. He jumps right on top of Gangnam right here, and that's 2 down already for the Florida Mayhem, and an amazing start for the Shock, just as we saw in the first round here.
Yeah, got hacked as well. I mean, ideally, Nero just stands behind everybody, waits for an engage, and then it's very hard to kind of interrupt the hack at that point because you're already looking forwards, looking to try and kill or disengage from the dive in the front from the Shock. An early EMP dive from San Francisco Shock, not quite in position just yet, but now's the time to go. Beat has been used, and they force Transcendence. Nero has to just wait this out, and bada bing, bada boom, that's going to be an easy EMP.
Yeah, that's going to be a cleanup if they manage to land this properly, but Yaki's found Violet, and that's only finding 2, but they found Gargoyle and Ganem. Just as you mentioned here, they're gone, and now they're not only at a number disadvantage, but they're risking themselves on the overtime ticking in with Shock having the advantage on the point first.
Yeah, Gargoyle's 10% away from a flux. He's had such a hard game, and he needs to get back. A lucky resurrection onto OG, though.
Getting away with it, and Slime actually getting out of the situation, but Super actually jumping on top of Slime, and that's the Mayhem. They're getting cleaned up, and it's the Shock that are planting their feet on this point, planting the flag over and the Coalescence to make sure nobody from Mayhem they could touch. San Francisco.
She's only got a little bit of saving grace with the armor, but that's about it.
I really like the way that this is positioned right here. Ganam actually falls though
How is that
from
possible?
FD God. I don't even know. They dove though. They dove on top of Mayhem's support lineup that were actually on the high ground right there. And now BQB, they're gonna trade that for Striker. But FD God, someone stop him. The follows that are going on, now BQB's gone. Yaki's not gonna be there to help defend with the rest of Mayhem. And OG, unfortunately, doesn't have that sustainability to stay alive.
Okay, FD God.
It's just a matter of time before FD God. He's here to make a statement right now, Josh. All eyes are on FD God. You know, different playstyle with the Lucio, but now the Shock. We're talking about the speed run, but I'm gonna try to dive back in. He's trying to get that primal built up and the Coalescence to keep the Shock and engaging, so rather Violet right now to allow the rest of Shock to engage going in. They're forced back thanks to OG's primal, shoving them back onto that high ground, but still they're not contested here, and they're still trying to push into Mayhem spawn doors.
EMP, it's massive.
You're fighting four OG, actually making a quick swap actually to get rid of the EMP, and he's trying to get really quickly back, but you currently have Super shoving the rest of Mayhem. They could go, someone stop them. He's so nearly right there, but there's nobody left on the point, Jaws. The Mayhem were set all the way back. They're actually giving this respect over before they just re-dive onto this point. Although Mayhem, they're not able to go beyond this first tick because it's still getting contested. The Maywall's coming in, call it a brain freeze, trying to build into that Blizzard. BQB does have that Deadeye, but the sound barrier, and Yaki's gone. And the sound barrier coming out from Shock is going to help keep their feet planted on the ground. It's a matter of these Dragons still finding OG, but BQB, he trades that with the Deadeye onto Violet. That's 2 down, 3, make it 3 for the Shock, and the Mayhem are finally seeing the light of day to try to take this first point, but this time bank right now, Jaws.
No, I mean, it's looking pretty nice. Not as nice as the Shocks. They're going to stall out for a little bit here. as Choyo is still alive. I can't imagine he uses self-destruct. If he does, it'll be a bit of a throwaway ultimate. He eventually goes down, and that'll be it. Mayhem taking the point. That was a very, very nice kill on the Batiste from Striker. I mean,
you still have Choi being able to tack on some of that pressure over to the side. Gravitic Flux, though, is going to send them up in the air. The Blizzard is coming in from Yaki. He's going to try to get in for the follow-up from the Gravitic Flux, and that's going to be super out, and that's going to be Mayhem making their way over to the point, utilizing the sound barrier, and now they're going to be able to hold forward into the shock spawn doors. Although Striker has still been uncontested over to the side, and he still found that pick onto BQB. That sets up Mayhem with a 5v6, as the Shock still have that spawn advantage over to the side. Here comes the Shatter, though, from OG, and luckily FD God was right there to contest with the sound barrier.
Yeah, perfect beat from FD God. Yeah, he got it online, he did eventually, and it was almost the perfect time, right? Especially when you're in these situations, if you die fairly dominating my team, I gotta switch, I gotta show him up.
It's about asserting your dominance and sending a message out here, and the Mayhem, they're gonna try to rotate over.
Again?
Striker, what?
Okay,
what?
dude.
Can somebody stop
Okay.
it? That is not how you send a message here, Jaws, and they're gonna try to engage. They're backing off, actually, and you still see Striker, he's holding on to those dragons, and that's gonna be a threat that I'm worried about when you take a look at Mayhem. Now
Look at the Sagas,
they're
Vicky.
still losing members. I don't
I mean,
understand.
now you burn another minute off the clock almost.
Wall, they're trying to contest down through the middle part, and the Dragons, I made note of it, they're coming out, and they're going to be able to create some of that space. Yeah, not only did they force out the low ground, but now, Gargo ate the Blizzard from Nero. I mean, that's one ultimate down from the Shock, but what about the rest? What about the Shatter coming in from Super? It's a cleanup, and because they were forced to drop down onto that low ground, those Dragons actually force out that rotation, and that's more time taken away from the Mayhem.
Yeah, look at that smirk on Super's face. He knows the position he is in and the team is in. He only needed to shatter one. He did just that. OG switching over to the Wrecking Ball to try and get the touch to cause OT. But it's overtime now. And Shock have almost 5 minutes to Strikers on the Bastion. I mean, yeah, stall Bastion or like to kill people that come in is a perfect way to round.
Ooh, talk about the damage. Super taking a lot of that damage after having that Discord Orb on him. He gets stunned though, and Violet and FD God, somebody help them. They need to back off a little bit, but luckily with Ganam Jin falling through, and that's 2 members down for Mayhem. It's Striker who once again strikes and takes out the Mayhem. This has been a problem that Mayhem cannot seem to minimize on.
Oh man, I was so looking for... Oh, don't do it to him! Oh, of course he did it to him! I'll get that hack off, honestly. Like I said, Nero's just been waiting in the sidelines half this time. There's the EMP though, I will cut myself off.
Yeah, only found BQB actually right there. BQB won't be in the fight, but here comes Super. He's in the back lines and he's terrorizing the supports. He's cleaning them up. And now that Shock that's going to be able to move this payload in. Rather, now Mayhem, unfortunately, they can't find this defense. They use the mines, and Jaws, the Shock, they have so much momentum rolling for themselves.
Another Cole built up, Strike, a little bit of BM and the switch. Of course, the dive, not too good on this point. There's the Coalescence to start us off again, though.
Yeah, because Striker now is back on that McCree instead, and the Coalescence to keep Shock alive. The Deadeye is going to buy in some of that space, but the Respect is by with the corner. We've got to be careful, Nero. He does get out of that line of sight, and it's the Immortality field that gets eaten up. Here comes FD God again, the aggressive FD God that we've seen before, but they trade that for Nero, and the number advantage is still in Mayhem's favor with the Shock having to back off in this situation, but FD God foul.
On the right-hand side, takes a little bit more time, but it's definitely worth it. Striker clicking ahead there, and they're just waiting for Nero's ult, it seems. They're not going to head in too aggressive. Yep, they know. Window's going to come out, insta-kill onto FD God, and this fight is as good as over. They're going to find some nice stagger kills too.
It's just a matter of time before the Shock find themselves regrouping back to the drawing board here, especially after Violet and FD God were the first ones to fall through, and Mayhem are going to be able to build into some of those engagements to really shine.
Yeah, and Super still has that Shatter as well. That Window's going to buy the space. That was activated later, so the Mayhem had to pay respect. There's the Shatter under the payload.
Doesn't find anyone instead. It's going to be the rest of Mayhem now moving in, and they're going to be able to hold this aggression. Now that Super's fallen down, that's the main tank for Shock not in this fight. Choyobin's going to take too much damage. He's going to get D-Max, and it's Mayhem that are going to be able to hold Shock back, waver them back, and take some of that time bank away from them at 1 minute and 50 seconds.
I think we got a Shock listening as well coming up. I want to see what that's...
So much damage getting pumped out at the same time. You see Mayhem now, they're forced back. Talk about that pressure. That wall was on the high ground, so that actually allowed Nero to get OG. And this is going to be the engagement process for the Shock. the sound barrier to keep them alive, but the Blizzard's still here, and it's just gonna wait out the sound barrier before tossing out that Blizzard. Now FD God's gonna be able to allow the Shock to move in. Nero doesn't get caught by the sound barrier, but it's okay because the Blizzard instead is gonna get some of that space. Enables Striker to utilize that Deadeye, and they do clean up Gargoyle. Somebody stop him clicking heads, finding these domes, and it doesn't matter if that Shatter hits Striker because the rest of the Shock are there to help peel for him and clean you up in the front lines, OG.
Oh man, it's only the May left on the point. Choi goes down, Yaki follows, couple of more meters. The wall at least built some extra time there, but Striker's not dying. If Striker doesn't die, this map will not be Mayhem's, or this point at least will not be Mayhem's. Another kill, BQB goes down, Super lands a big shatter, Striker finds another kill. No one's stopping him. The Mayhem are going to lose this point, and the San Francisco Shock, are they going to cap with time? Maybe not, because the May Ice Block's going to be there.
No, and Striker is still here. I'm terrified. This man is straight up sending the Mayhem back to the spawn one by one, over and over again, and Super is helping him out all in the same process. Now you have Striker right behind an Ant Matrix. What worse situation can you find yourself in if you are the Florida Mayhem? They cap it all the way to the end. And why don't we hear some clear, but he does find himself back in this fight. Violet does have this Ant Matrix online, and after that wall actually had already gone up, he put it right there on purpose so that way the wall could go down. And now the rest of Mayhem, they're respecting that, and they're having to utilize this wall right here. But look at the DPS lineup. They're so low. They are. Yeah, Slime is gone too, so that just is Ganem right here for the sustainability. But with Striker on your backlines and pressuring you, followed up by Super, the way that Super and Striker are working together, Super getting a quick little 3K, this is so difficult to deal with if you are the Florida Mayhem. I'm just absolutely malfunctioning right now. Josh, just look. Yeah, you could have actually drift back there. Now it's going to allow the Mayhem to move right in. Yaki has that Blizzard to control some of that space and stop the approach from Shock onto this payload. They do manage to get a click, but BQB, he's found Striker. He's trying to assert his dominance finally after what we had seen from Hanmura when we saw the Hangzhou swap up over. But the Diva Bomb's going to buy some space, but they're going to clean things up. Mayhem now are going to be able to move themselves back onto this point to try to capture this payload and get it moving.
Oh, very nice. Okay, so that was really unfortunate from Nero there, of course. You don't have the May wall, you don't have the freeze at all, so the
earlier, Mayhem are now trying to rotate off to the side, but the Shock have now taken control over this upcoming corner, and Super taking out BQB with a Fire Strike. Somebody stop Super. I know we were highlighting Striker, but the way that they've been enabling each other is insane. OG does have that shatter that he just pulled the trigger on, and the rest of Mayhem are there to try to back him up, but luckily Super now is trying to find his positioning for his shatter up next.
Oh, that's a one speedy cowboy. Did Super just knock him off the map?
Oh, did he just roll into it?
No, Gargoyle just ulted to get off the map. I think Gargoyle fell, but then just hit the Q button to ascend to the heavens to make sure he didn't die there. That was ridiculous. Wow, what a fight from the May holding it at the gate. Always the better option. Blizzard comes out. Uh-oh. Yeah, Super's in trouble.
Oh, Super, no, and he's gone down. Violet wasn't there. Super goes down with the shatter, but luckily for the Mayhem now, they're trying to get some of this payload moving, and it's Choi that's going to fall through. He tried to contest for as long as possible, but at least they're going to be able to wait out for the rest of Shock to regroup together. Striker's still finding picks, by the way, on the back lines, and with some help from Violet on the high ground, that wall is trying to stop them, but I don't know for how long they can since the Ant Matrix on board. They're still cleaning house! They're still cleaning house! They were so fixated on the high ground that Violet...
They're going to take a real quick rotation onto the castle, but OG might be in trouble, but he has Shatter.
Shatter in the Blizzard though, coming in from Shock. Immortality feels out fighting 3 though with the Shatter, and that's gonna cause the FD God and Super to go down. That's gonna be the 2 enablers for the Shock that really have opened the gates for the Shock to go in, and now the Mayhem are gonna be able to move this payload over with some
Slim. BQB uses the Deadeye. Uh-oh. Yeah, there's no way Nero survives that.
Yeah, unfortunate. That was timed as well to not only clear space, but to clear out Nero. And BQB is getting dived on. He gets saved by the Immortality. It's a matter of Shock trickling in just so that way they could focus on BQB. They actually all had fallen at the same time. And now this next thing, though, from Shock, they're actually utilizing that pillar to be able to get out of that line of sight. And that's that poke damage that you were talking about from Gargo. He has a Gravitic Flux. He's going to send Super up in the air. And Choyobin is out of the Diva mech. He's going to reset with a Diva Bomb. Doesn't find anybody, but does force Mayhem to get in some of that respect and create some space to allow the Shock to move right in. Now we're trading here, Jaws, with Yaki going down. That's Yaki having to come back all the way from the spawn, and Super now gonna hold forward thanks to FD God's sound barrier, and they're gonna try to clean house as the Mayhem now are down to less than 50 seconds on board.
It's almost the same thing that happened on Hanamura as well there. FD God dived with beat fairly early on in the fight, but was able to just come out. Mayhem. They used the High Noon to speed them forward, but are they going to find any picks? Definitely not. Well, actually, they did find the mech. Could be pretty big.
Yeah, Choyobin actually sacrificed himself. They dove immediately right there onto BGB, but the Blizzard's gonna find OG. That's not the position you want to be with less than 5 seconds. No one's gonna be on the point. The shock. They truly wanted to do this 3-0 and a quick walk away as the Mayhem now have fallen. They don't get into the main melee knockout qualifiers, but the shock now are gonna put themselves back on board, Jaws.
Wow, that was insane at the very end. You find the D-Meg, you're like, great. Now we don't have to deal with